Hello, everybody, and welcome to Final Assault for Charity 2020. My name is Nightfire with two E's, and I am joined by my co-caster, Monarkid. Mono, it's an exciting day today. We got a lot to get into. How are you feeling? It is going to be, it's going to be a good one. There is a lot to look forward to say the least. I mean, the main, the real big enchilada, I guess, if you will, is just what this is out here for, right? This is in benefit of StackUp.org, a fantastic charity that we've worked with before over the course of a couple of different leagues. But what they do is they help benefit veterans that are active in military and back at home and abroad, and it's a fantastic bit of charity that goes together, and it sends video games out to organizations that to our military personnel that need it. And we know how much video games can heal and how much they help in times of in trying times like we have been experiencing lately, you know. And so it's an incredibly important charity, and they also do a lot where they, you know, they have a 24/7 active sort of helpline for any veterans that need it. So anyone that wants to contact them and get, you know, that needs that bit of outreach, you know, again, in these trying times, it's such an awesome bit of charity. It's so great that we're on board with this, and I'm really happy that Final Assault is coming together to help bring what I think's already been over $1,800 for this Stack Up charity. I mean, Mono, it's a great cause.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to be able to support a group like this who's doing great work for our veterans and active military members.
Yeah,
it's really commendable.
It goes a long way. Yeah, it is commendable, and it makes you feel as a caster like the cast is going to a really good cause, you know, which obviously is the case here. With this Stack Up tournament. We have a lot of great players, too, that are playing today. That's kind of also the second bit of highlighting, if you will. If you can excuse my fuzzy shirt, we'll fix that in a second. But we got to focus on the players that are going to be getting into this charity event. I mean, we have, sadly, it's Bradley and Reality Check VR, two top-tier Final Assault players that basically we're getting a rematch of the, I think it was the World Gaming Conference in 2019. So that's going to be hype, and if you're watching, that's going to be a great one to learn something from. We obviously also have Gamertag VR, Soul Fox Gaming, Control Flirt Delete, Eric Hartley, Skiva, and Alex VR all coming together here to play in this charity tournament. It's an awesome bit of collaboration between all these different YouTubers and Twitch streamers. It's really cool to see.
Unmute me.
We'll get Mono into the cast shortly, but. Either way, we're going to cut to a brief intermission while we solve some of the technical hiccups, and we will be right back, hopefully with the start of our first round, which will be, sadly, It's Bradley versus Reality Check VR. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be right into this action soon enough.
My name's Steve Machuga. I'm the founder of StackUp.org. We have a program called our Air Assault program where we fly disabled or deserving veterans to events like PAX, E3, things like that. The idea is a lot of these guys would never be able to come to one of these, and we want to be able to bring them in as a way of saying, you know, not just thank you, but showing them that when you come here and you see 70, 80,000 people and cosplayers and everything like that, oh, look at all these people. I'm not alone out there.
My name's Cody Bowman, Sergeant, U.S. Army. You're never alone with gaming, and it really helps with my recovery, like mentally. With the military, the curse in the military is you meet the greatest, most upstanding, best of friends you can imagine. You build these awesome relationships for 2-3 years at a time, and then all of a sudden they have to move, you have to move, they have to deploy or whatever. And with gaming, online gaming, it's almost like they never left.
My name's Jason Clark, sonar technician, submarines, United States Navy.
Dakota Allen, Army Infantry, Sergeant E5. It's great to meet other veterans who have experienced similar things as I have that can relate to me on a video game level as well. And we're bonding over video games, but at the same time we can slip in our military experiences and into the mix. And then it seamlessly goes from war stories to video games and back again. It's pretty rad.
Gaming helps me cope. It's helped me, it's allowed me to talk to people who are like me, just want to be somewhere and, you know, be around people, but have a hard time being around people.
We would have just a high stress level maintained for a long period of time, and having a way to just kind of let it all out. I don't think we ever said it, but got close, you know, just being able to let that out together.
When I found out I was coming out to PAX, one of the major problems I had was I was isolating myself in my house. It was pretty bad. I realized that, you know, I needed some practice before I did this. And so I'd go out to like my local Walmart and I'd just go walk around and get to the point where I wasn't quite so on guard. So it really helped me.
Gaming, in order to proceed, you have to be paying attention. So it forces you to maintain focus on something other than everything else that you're worried about.
You know, I've never experienced anything like this. I mean, we've met indie developers, we've met voice actors, we've met people that are just excited about the games, and it's almost like that instant bond.
Going around talking to some of the developers, seeing some of the new and up and coming games, it's just an awesome experience. Like, I'll be bragging about this forever now.
Honestly, I've done a lot of pretty freaking cool stuff in my life, but that was a dream come true.
Thank you for trying to keep up with the people that are having the hardest time. You know, we all need each other, and I think that's what this all boils down to, is that I didn't realize how far off I was and how much I needed people, and this just has really, really opened my eyes. So thank you all.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and patiently waiting for the start of round number 1 of the Final Assault for Charity 2020 event in benefit of StackUp.org. Mono, maybe they can hear you now.
Hopefully they can hear me.
They should,
That's the hope.
Yeah, again, apologies for any of those technical difficulties we were experiencing there. I know I was a little fuzzy and maybe you didn't hear Mono, but everything should be in order now. We should be all clear on the open front, as they say. The question is that going to be the case with these two in this matchup today? And we talked about it just a touch in the pre-show, but these are players that have played Final Assault a lot, and they've known it for years. You know, sadly, has been a top-tier competitor in Final Assault for both seasons of the VRML, and before that in that World Gaming Conference across the seas. I mean, he was a strong player always. You know, he's a threat that I think everyone sees and is like, great, I got to go up against Brad. It's going to be a tough one. The same is the case for Reality Check VR. He is a player that has also gone to that World Gaming Conference finals in 2019, and he's been playing the game for a long time. So if you're new here, and if you're maybe a player that's playing later on in the tournament, I think you're going to want to tune in to this series, because you may be able to learn a thing or two, at least on the early game and the mid game. It's where we're going to be seeing, I would say, the most action. Although with these players, it could very well come down to that late game unlocks and how they maneuver them. I think we have both players ready, though. Mono, are you ready is the question.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this matchup. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we got the Beaumont versus Beaumont. And I mean, when you talk about that Beaumont tier, it is... I mean, situationally, it is in a lower sort of tier. The mortars used to be incredibly effective and have recently received a nerf. So, you know, you have to consider these things when you consider the divisions. But we are underway. On your left is Reality Check VR. On the right is, sadly, it's Bradley, and they are going to be duking it out on Operation Stronghold. One of my favorite maps because of these two satellite positions that get utilized. These alternate bases that you have that are right up next to your enemy.
Yeah, and you got that nice platform right in the middle as well. You can get a lot of control, get some arty on there. And
oh yeah,
with both of these players playing Beaumont, they're really going to have to use their other tools as well to really push those lanes, as the mortars should be able to take each other out as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to see what the strat is here early for both of these players. What I do find interesting is that Brad's already throwing out flame tanks up to the enemy's auxiliary blaze. And the same coming in from Reality Check. Brad's actually going with 2 tanks and a mortar, and Reality Check's got himself a flame tank. And it looks like another tank on the back up there. Interesting that he's bringing the flame tank up to that tower right away, and it is doing some good damage. Brad's tower getting slammed here. The same, again, is happening on the other side at this other base. They've got an artillery and 2 tanks pumping away, and this is the early game. This is the investment that these players have chosen to make. They want to... Oh, that flame turret is doing so much work. It seems to be working through this base so much faster than what Brad's doing with his double tank. Maybe a little, or excuse me, than what Reality Check is doing. There's the knowledge that Brad has, you know.
Yeah, those flame tanks are so good against structures. This is something that they really rip apart. Like you were saying, he was pushing on the other side and trying to take out those towers at the same time, like a base trade, but it just doesn't hold up to the flame tank.
What's interesting here, too, is that they've cleared both of those initial towers and then stopped their push, essentially. Maybe it's just to open up space. Here comes that drop, and Brad's actually going to get an artillery piece up there, but it doesn't get the drop right away. The Jeep, though, does swoop in, and those early drops are big. Those early drops get you a lot of gold into the pocket, which is what you need if you want to upgrade to your Tier 2 and Tier 3 units. In the case of Reality Check, he still hasn't upgraded to his Tier 2 yet, or at least the UI is indicating that. Which is, you know, you're missing out on units. On the other hand, he is pushing forward up to this first tower at Brad's base, 2 tanks pumping away.
Yeah, and he's actually got a second push brewing as well. going up in the top lane here, really putting a lot of pressure on Bradley, punishing him for doing that tech a little bit possibly too early, but we'll see what Bradley comes out to counter that.
Yeah, well, we will, because what he's unlocked there is AA and mortar troops. So he can put. So now you do see the first mortar troop come out, and if you're a veteran player, this is all indicators for you that, okay, this guy is now. I know he's Beaumont, because Beaumont is the only faction that can spawn these mortar troops. You know, and that's sort of the unique rock paper scissors of Final Assault, is that there's 3 divisions per side. So you have a air, a ground, and a tank division for both the American and German side, and they both all 6 of those classes do differ based off of what their tier 2 and tier 3 units are, and you know, some counter better, some counter others better. And so in this Beaumont versus Beaumont, it's going to be kind of curious to see the strat, because it's really just pure strategy. How do you push your lanes? How do you utilize your tools? And we saw the early push working out for Reality Check, but now, like you were saying, since that tier 2 was unlocked earlier from Bradley, he does seem to be regaining map control.
Right. He's got a lot to deal with, though. Reality Check has a good hold on the area, and you can see these planes just strafing these lanes, taking out these troops. Just, you know, the tanks are going to have to push up alone, and, you know, unsupported, it can be really risky as well.
Yeah, and I mean, those planes do damage to the tanks. You know, they do. It's minuscule, but if you're sitting in the lane getting peppered by a strafe as a tank, it is going to do damage. Brad's looking like he's going for another full push up to this auxiliary base, and he really does want to get rid of this. If he gets rid of the turret, then he's going to open things up, because that AA is going to become vulnerable. He can get rid of that, and he can have sky control of this side of the map as well.
Yeah, it's always tough to fight those big air battles when they can pull you into the AA, and those base AAs will rip apart your planes like no tomorrow. So it's a really good move to do that. And you see the tanks just rolling in here. They're dodging the mortar fire. They're rolling around and just burning these structures, and he's actually on the troop trucks. He's killed 2 already, and there goes the 3rd one right before the flame tank gets taken out.
And that's really good micro by Brad, because he moves that flame tank around up to that north end. All the while, these tanks are pumping. There's this other battle going on. It's great misdirection from him to get those 3 huge kills. I mean, there would have been a big push down this lane from Reality Check if those troop trucks weren't eliminated. And now that they're gone, here comes the another 2 tank and a flame tank push up this lane. And I mean, look at the troop deployment as well. 3 mortar tents down here, so he's going to be pushing this north lane pretty heavily all the way up to this base. And here we do see a tier 3 upgrade coming in from Reality Check, the Calliope. It's had many a different pronunciation, but it's out and it's ready to pump down some range. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that fire come down, just totally ripping that infantry apart. And even though he's got a huge push coming down that lane, that Calliope, like you said, is totally going to counter it. So we're going to have to see a response if he's going to continue pushing this lane. And I mean, he's just pushing through, ripping it apart.
You can see Brad's hand, and you can see the micro he's doing to these 3 units. He's trying to navigate the tank in and out of range. He's moving his tanks out around the range of the base turrets, because he wants this AA dead. Once it's gone, it's going to open up sky coverage for him. Granted, I don't think there's any bombers available for either side, and so, you know, aside from fighter planes up in the air, which I get, it's interesting. He wants air control, because I think, to our point, they do great to deny troop, the troop push. Their planes are fantastic lane control, and in the case here where we have mortar troops going to be the most powerful unit coming in from both sides, I guess air control does matter, so that you can strafe the ground. And I mean, if we're looking at our overhead, Brad is definitely starting to gain the momentum here after he's with his early upgrade to tier 2.
He's actually pushed some troop trucks to assault those towers.
Oh, that's why you want control of that. So he's going to be hitting him from both auxiliary bases then. Mortar strikes coming in from both sides. Brad's mortar strike targeting the towers and doing good damage to them. Gonna lower their health down a good chunk and allow for this huge mortar push to become a reality. Here comes the Calliope onto that artillery that's been sitting in that corner for a long while.
All right, and with that infantry, those infantry trucks pushed up so much, the pressure is going to be on. They're going to continue pumping out troops, and they don't have very far to run before they get into the thick of it and start taking out those towers, really putting a lot of pressure on Reality to really counter this push, and he's got a lot to contend with here on both sides.
It is not looking good for Reality Check right now. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I think it's to just try and dump planes. Right now, Reality Check needs to regain lane control, and without planes strafing these troops down, these troops are going to continue to pile up. He's trying to use the artillery barrage to get rid of those troops, and it is hitting him pretty well. But, oh geez, Brad's peppering the spawn there. He's got all those troop trucks down. He needs to keep momentum up
here.
Yeah, I mean, geez. The explosions are... Well, yeah, we're into the Calliope battle, but this is definitely going Brad's way as more tanks come in to reinforce the continuing onslaught of troop trucks. I gotta wonder where this artillery barrage is going to be directed at. You gotta
right on his base there, and a base trade.
Yep. I think Reality Check realizing that Brad was doing damage to his base, he wanted to keep things even. In doing so, though, he's foregone his frontline defense. And Brad has a full platoon here, pumping away at Reality Check's base. This is going to be Brad locking up a victory.
What an explosive game there. It's fun seeing all those Calliops really put a lot of hurt on those infantry pushes. As we said, the planes in the beginning were doing tons of damage on the lane, but with those AAs destroyed, they were able to Bradley was able to get control of that, and then it kind of switched to the Calliope game going into their late game units.
Yeah.
And he just continued to push them, and when he put his infantry trucks up in the satellite base, it just put so much pressure on Reality Check VR. What a great game.
Yeah, a fun way to start it off. An exciting back and forth and a solid W for Brad there. A bit of what we expected, at least what I expected. Brad has been a dominant force in this scene for a while. But a solid bit of back and forth between the two. And again, an excellent round one to kick things off. I mean, it's a solid competitive start, Mono.
Right, yeah, it was super fun to watch that. Both players choosing a bit more of a situational hero or whatever, and It was really fun to see how that they use those heroes, and you could see the skill involved on both sides there.
Yeah, the knowledge very clearly there because of the, they know that those satellite bases are important. They both go for those early tower pushes. It's just fun to see, Brad's going for flame tank. Reality Check's got the dual tanks. Ultimately, those flame tanks just destroying the towers, the AA, all of the troop trucks that were up in that side. Just a really solid job from Brad to rid Reality Check of any options.
Yeah, those flame tanks were key. They did so much damage, and while you do have those towers on those satellite bases, you also can't really get there to defend it in time from an early aggressive push, and I think both players knew that, as both players immediately went for an attack on those satellite bases, just trying to do some damage before any kind of response could come to defend them.
Yeah. A good bit of back and forth for our first round, but we are going to be cutting to a brief ad break, and then we will be right back here for our next round of this Final Assault for Charity 2020 tournament. A reminder, before we go, we have a variety of commands for you to be educated on what you're seeing in front of you today. Coming out, one of the most important ones you're going to want to be using is !stack up. That's going to give you all the information you need. Also, !donate is going to provide you a direct link where you can go and donate to Stack Up, the charity that we are putting on this whole tournament for. That's going to benefit it. So be sure to be going there and donating. We want to get that up over 2K at the very least. We're already pretty dang close. We've had a ton of excellent, awesome contributions coming out. Again, you know, everyone that's involved in this tournament coming together to shout them out. It's been a great bit of fundraising so far, and we got to keep it up. So make sure to use those links, click on them, get in there. Appreciate you so much for doing so. Again, we'll cut to a brief ad break, and we'll be right back with more Final Assault for Charity 2020.
It's on.
Let's do this.
Again?
Again.
Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call 24/7 if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for patiently waiting for our next round of the Final Assault for Charity 2020 event in benefit of StackUp.org, brought to you by HyperX and VRML. Shout out to HyperX for sponsoring the event. It's very cool to have, I believe it's a social media prize going out there. So if you're not already, go check out the Phaserlock Twitter. Gonna want to be getting involved on that end. We were just patiently waiting for both of our contestants to ready up, Gamertag VR and Soul Fox Gaming, coming at it today on Copal Mine. One that we haven't seen, a bit of shifting in terms of how the lanes work, and a fun one to watch at that. It is definitely one that I remember. So going to be interesting to see how these two duke it out. And without any further ado, we are going to fire this up and get ready to dive into the action. A bit of note for that Wolf division. It is the German version of that tank class that we were talking about earlier. The Tiger tank being one of the most valuable pieces for Soul Fox's class here. And again, to orient you, on your left is going to be Gamertag VR. On your right is Soul Fox Gaming. And we are here on Copal Mine ready to duke it out. Now, I want to see what these players go for early. If it's going to be that early sort of troop truck push, or if it's going to be more of what we saw with Brad and Reality Check, where they rely on that aggression from tanks. And I think it's going to be, this is going to be a little bit of a slower start, if you will, because both players here deploying some early troop trucks to get lane advantage.
Yeah, we got a lot of trucks going on the top lane for Gamertag.
Nope.
And a little bit more, well, also on the top for Soul Fox. We do see some tanks coming out from Soul Fox Gaming here. Some Jeeps coming out from Gamertag. Both are pushing up here, trying to get control of these control points. This is definitely one of the more interesting maps, in my opinion. These buildings add a lot of room for like the arty to really put a punch onto people with that indirect fire.
Yep.
The tanks have to move around, so we should have some really great gameplay. And this really interesting dip right in the center of the map too. They really have to.
That dip can be dangerous too. You can put an artillery in there and it can launch up to where that tank currently is, or you put artillery up there and it can launch down. And so what you're seeing here is the early advancement from Gamertag. He put out these Jeeps at the start of this round, right at these X's. The reason being is because as soon as this airdrop comes down, he wanted to grab it. Soul Fox saw the drop and directed some slower units to it, but not in time. And now Gamertag has gotten a huge windfall of money. He immediately invested that into a single tank and then 2 more troop trucks. And so he is definitely going for lane presence. And you can see here a pretty heavy troop truck push up this middle lane, but it's getting slammed by artillery.
A nice little tank flank on the side, taking that already before it did too much damage to those tanks. But them being grouped up so much, he has to worry about that, as the arty hitting them is going to hit all 3 tanks all at the same time there. And there you see that right there, but all 3 tanks exploding spectacularly there, but not before they did a good bit of damage to those center towers.
Take a look at Soul Fox's base setup, what he's trying to do to counteract this, and he has thrown out a couple of troop trucks of his own, and matching the 4 that Gamertag has, so that lane dominance not going to be necessarily an option from the likes of Gamertag. And a couple of planes coming out here. I gotta wonder if they're going to utilize those to strafe. You can see Gamertag's trying to counteract Soul Fox's air presence. He's got his own planes out here doing some damage.
Another big push coming down the center. 2 tanks pushing with the infantry there. Who's going to win, the 1 artillery piece or the 2 tanks?
That artillery has been doing work in this lane against the consistent tank push of Gamertag, and I don't know if those tanks are going to get close, but I think this ridge is really going to shut them down right now. It's not going to allow them to pepper that artillery like maybe he wants it to, and there finally the tanks are getting directed onto it.
We can see like a little turning battle the 2 planes have right overhead as well. Soul Fox having to pump out another plane in order to get air superiority there, but with 2 planes, once he takes out Gamer's plane, he should be able to use that to strafe some infantry and really do a lot of damage, allow those lanes to be pushed up with all of that infantry support that he's got from his troop trucks.
Yeah, he's really starting to split the attention here a bit too. He's got a heavy push from this tank artillery combo up this 1 lane, but then he's got his cross lane here with 3 more tanks barreling down it. Gamertag investing in trying to snag that capture point up north in case the drop comes, but Soul Fox has pretty good map control right now, and here comes a heavy tank push down these 2 lanes.
And he's got artillery support as well. And not only that, but he's got the air superiority as well. So Gamertag has a lot to contend with here. The push is going to be on his doorstep any moment now. But here we can see what he was doing.
Ooh.
He was teching up. He's got his Calliope tank in here, and the artillery is starting. It should do some pretty good damage on those tanks, especially when they're blobbed up there. It could just be what he needs to throw this pushback.
Yeah, a very solid answer. Knocking at his door at 5 minutes in, but quickly shut down. And the reason that he was even allowed to get up there is because he had to invest. You know, it takes to upgrade these tiers. It's a good bit of money. I think in terms of cash flow, a tank varies from 7 to 9 gold. An upgrade to tier 2 costs 15, and to tier 3 costs 25. The max gold you can even have is 30. And so this is the side game that's going on. These players are managing their funds, their income. They're trying to get the right upgrades at the right time. And if you look at SoulFox, he's invested almost nothing into his upgrades. I think he's hopefully considering his tier 2 soon, but for now he's just relied on his initial units to get him up to where he is.
Yeah, he's hoping for that early aggression and all that money being put into units to, you know, win the day and, you know, try and put as much damage as he can on the towers before the superiority of the higher tier units really has an effect here. But it's quickly slipping away here as these Calliope tanks are just ripping apart all these pushes that SoulFox is putting forward. That said, he does have 4 artillery pieces just laying into the towers there too, so we're really gonna have to see a push here to take those out. Otherwise, there's not gonna have very many towers left.
It's almost like he doesn't even realize that artillery packed down there on the ridge line, because he hasn't moved his Calliope to help prevent that from happening. He's gonna lose 2 towers here to they're not reacting quickly enough to the artillery barrage that's hitting him.
Yeah, it looks like he's focused a bit more on the other lane. We got a nice air battle going up here. They're just spinning around here, trying to take each other out there, and who blinks first?
Another artillery push.
Away.
Another artillery push coming in, and I don't know what the proper reaction is here. Is it, wow, the missile launch coming out? Excuse me, the artillery barrage from Gamertag. The missile would be from SoulFox. They are different classes this time around. We don't have that mirror class going on.
Right. The artillery did have to pull forward there as they took out those 2 towers, and in doing so, the Callios were able to get in range. Took out 3 of them pretty easily there. There's 1 left, still doing some damage in the lane there, but I imagine it's not going to be long for this world.
Well, there it goes. Down goes the troop truck at that north end, and artillery continues to barrage this north lane that's not getting pushed up by Gamertag. Gamer focusing his tanks and efforts down into the south, which is going to be tough because, like you were saying, these buildings are big. You know, this artillery is shooting around the corner of this building, safe and sound, just peppering any sort of units that get pushed up here.
All right. Meanwhile, Gamer has had enough with that artillery pushing, and he pushes out some tanks in order to take those out. The 1 tank that SoulFox had there to defend it will not be enough. And that lane has been secured, and we'll see what he does with all of that new freedom. Able to push up this lane and maybe do some damage to SoulFox in turn.
We'll see. He's finally shut down that aggression in that unpushed lane. But he is really tunneled here into the south, where he's focusing almost everything. You know, he keeps directing all his tanks here. He keeps directing his Calliopes down this lane. The artillery, again, just sitting in the back end and cleaning up while his 2 tanks in the front do some work. And it does look like SoulFox has upgraded to his tier 3. The Tiger tank going to be a huge element for him here. It is a robust and beefy tank that could play a very nice front line for him if he gets it up there into this bottom lane.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. The Tiger is quite the tank destroyer, which should be a great counter to this heavy push that Gamertag is doing here, and also be able to counter those Calliopes. He could just shrug off the artillery barrage from the Calliope rockets and then push forward and take the tank itself out. So great move from Soul Fox. That said, it looks like he's going to opt to use a V-Rocket, a V2 rocket, and it's coming in on the base, and you can see Gamertag looking up at it, and he's like, oh, where's it going to go?
A huge slam. Catches out 2 tanks and actually 3 tanks, excuse me, and 2 troop deploy trucks. An excellent bit of work there on that missile launch. And it's something you got to be aware of when you're playing. You have to always be sure that when a missile launch comes, if you have a group of units, you're quickly dispersing them. And we saw it happen with Brad when the artillery strikes would come out. Reality check, because again, those are veteran players. They know what they're looking for and how to react accordingly. But in this case, a huge military strike that's really hurt any sort of push. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that in our matches, you took out a lot of my trucks with those. All right. So meanwhile, Soul Fox isn't decided to get some of those tier 2 artillery trucks, and just look at them shoot. There's so many artillery rounds coming out there, and tanks, infantry, nothing is able to stand up to it. You got to spend a little bit of micro there in order to take it out, get a flank on it or something. They're just so powerful. Maybe some planes would be a great counter as well to them.
Yeah, I think the problem is that well, no, it is. Yeah, Soul Fox is the one that has the ability to take out ground units with his planes. He's got the bomber that he can deploy if he wants to. Interestingly enough, he tried to put up a couple of troop trucks far forward because he wants those troops to deploy right at the base of Gamertag, but it's a risk because they have no defense. You know, if those troop trucks are in the firing line of a tank or even soldiers, they can go down. It's why you typically invest them behind your turrets, so that you're not wasting resources by putting these out. And maybe a potential route for Gamertag to get back in here with a little money invested by Soul Fox into something that's going to die. Oh, but geez, look at this. A heavy force coming in on the south.
Well, yeah, quite the battle being duked over here. We got 2 Tiger tanks there, just bullying the lane. There was actually quite a few tanks there, but those Tiger tanks made quick work of them. Got the artillery support as well, and a little bit of tank support, and that's going to be a ferocious push. The Gamertag is going to have to counter soon.
It's kind of,
but right now you can see him pushing down,
yeah,
taking out those troop trucks he's got on the outside.
It's kind of interesting that that troop truck play almost drew Gamertag's attention away from where he should be sending those tanks down here into the south.
Yeah, he's going to have to do a lot to counter those, and really, really soon here. Oh. You can see he's pulled the arty out. Looks like he's going to try and take him out with the arty there, and it hits right on target, peppering those tanks. And some of those lesser units, like the tank, destroyed in the arty, but not the Tiger tanks. They are still up and running and doing damage in this lane.
They're really thick units. You know, it takes a lot to get rid of these things, and I don't think that artillery in particular is incredibly effective even against the likes of a Tiger tank. And now they're going to be up just demolishing any tank that tries to go up against him. And the one thing I would say is that he could be getting more out of this. You know, he could be utilizing a little micromanagement to get that other Tiger tank out from behind his front one and have them both sort of firing on a front line. But he is solidly pushing up on the south side. In the meanwhile, though, Gamertag's focus has been directed into the middle, and it is pushing up to the turrets. He's gotten 1 turret down there in the center. Oh, geez,
yeah, nice little
third Tiger tank.
Those little pushes, you know, even though it feels like they might not do much, they keep the attention of your opponent and force them to look and respond and spend money. So it can be actually really cost effective to do that and split their focus. But yeah, those 3 Tiger tanks, the only thing kind of saving them right now is that they're not that great at taking out infantry.
Yeah.
But those little tanks in opposition that he's sending out there are just really not going to be able to do that much. The best they can hope for is have the infantry take the shots of the Tiger and hopefully sneak some damage in before the Tigers pull on target and lay them down to rest.
But even then, they soak so many tank shots. The Calliope is going to be a smart investment. That can really pepper this group nicely if he gets it up there in time. He's going to lose most likely this bottom turret to a heavy tank, Tiger tank barrage, but that Calliope is going to do some work.
Right, just that gradual damage constantly And once one tank goes down, the other two shouldn't take too much longer because they are doing a lot of AoE damage with those rockets.
Louise. But again, if you can't shut them down, you can't stop them in time. They're just going to keep barreling through. There goes one. But it takes 2 Tiger Tank shots? Yeah, just 2 Tiger Tank shots to take down a Calliope. Couple of tanks coming out, and you can feel the resource strain from Gamertag on this defense.
Yeah, this is a tough one to come back from for Gamertag here. You can see him, you know, trying to pull those tanks out, trying to get some troop trucks, anything to try and counter those Tiger tanks, but they are just a force unto themselves, just pushing forward slowly but surely, and he is right outside of Gamer's base here. And at any point now, they should start putting fire onto the base, and they really chunk it when they start shooting. That said, another Tiger goes down. Yardy's a good choice as well, a little bit cheaper and does pretty good damage as well. But the infantry is picking up as well. Ooh.
Missile coming out here. It could be, I think it's going to be dropped, yep, right onto the 3 units that are defending. Down they go. This Tiger Tank continues to slam the base of Gamertag, and it drops in health bit by bit.
He's trying, but he's only can send in 1 unit at a time here. He's out of money. He's out of, you know, resources in order to counter this, and the artillery piece coming down the center just kind of seals the deal here. Another artillery strike coming from that VP rocket.
Soulfox really burying the hatchet here. He's got the missile coming in right on top of the base. There it is. Soulfox with a commanding victory up against Gamertag. A solid W on his end to get him the win. And what a fun game. I mean, that was a great back and forth from you know, 2 players that I haven't seen play in this before.
Yeah, definitely a great matchup there. We saw a lot of great counterplay coming from both sides. We saw, you know, spoiling pushes coming down the center. We got artillery pushes coming down the south. Big tank battles in the north.
Yeah.
A lot of fun there. And those money drops, man. Like, he earned a lot of extra money from picking those up. Soulfox did. It just really makes a huge difference when you get that quick influx of cash and you're able to either like quick tech up or push out some extra units, and really puts a, you know, a big difference in the game. You just it's so much money.
It's fun to watch because, especially if you don't really know what you should be expecting. Like, this early game is so interesting because, like, you see a hard push come out early and you're like, oh, this is done. He's got so much advantage. But the reason is because they've invested in upgrading it instead, and so they, you know, they literally can't put out units because they're saving their cash to upgrade to a different tier. And it's what, you know, whenever I've watched Final Assault, it's always a fun rock paper scissors to watch, because it really is. It's, you know, what do you do and how do I react, and then, okay, I got this, now I'm going to save that, maybe you're going to do this, I'm going to try and counter that with some planes. There's so many different strats and different mindsets that have to get factored into this. It's really fun to watch. It's a quality esport, in my opinion. You know, they've really done good to make this a good back and forth of an RTS.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I really like that there's all these different heroes and different strategies, and the subterfuge of not knowing what hero they're, you know, playing that game, and you can just switch it up.
Yeah,
a lot of different strengths, different special units, flashy special units, I might add.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Tiger tanks.
Yeah, Tiger tanks, a lot of fun. Definitely my first special unit I ever used. But you also got those big bombers. You got those Callios that we've been seeing a lot of. It's just fun, and just being able to counter that, you know, not always necessarily doing mirror matches, but the mirror matches can be fun as well. Definitely a great little esport game, I think.
Fun to watch, and hey, it's all going to a excellent cause, as you see here on your screen. This is all in benefit of Stack Up, a fantastic charity group that helps support our veterans at home and abroad. They provide them with games, services, you know, 24/7 helplines, a variety of community sort of interactions that focus around gaming, and it's why, you know, we're here with Final Assault and you know, working with VRML to help drive a good bit of fundraising for this charity. Again, like I said, I know when we started we were over 1,800. I'll need to maybe get a live update from that from somebody on where we're at on that. But exclamation point donate, I believe, is the command we're looking for. That'll direct you right to a link where you can go and contribute to the stackup.org cause that we are all throwing into. Also, a quick shout out to everyone that's been participating. Sadly, it's Bradley, Reality Check, Gamertag, Soul Fox, Control, Flirt, Delete, Eric, Hartley, Skiva, and Alex VR all coming together to drive their communities to help donate as well. It's been an excellent bit of display of what the VR community can do, and I'm happy to be a part of it. We are going to cut to a very brief intermission, and we will be right back with more Final Assault VRML for Charity 2020. Do not go anywhere. More action coming at you in just a few moments. Welcome back. Thank you again for patiently waiting for us to get back into the action in this final Assault for Charity 2020 event in benefit of StackUp.org. Again, if you haven't already, !donate. You want to go over there and donate. But again, the action here, ready to go. We have Eminus versus Control Flirt Delete. Eminus is, for those maybe unfamiliar, Eric Hartley. He'll be using Galland, where Control is going to be using Wolf. And I mean, Mono, I think we're ready to hop into our next game.
I'm ready. Yeah, we'll see that these two players will bring for us today. Some more hot and heavy tank action.
Yep. Wolf being that sort of tank expert, if you will. Von Ritter, interestingly enough, one of my kind of preferred characters, but he is incredibly powerful in the early game, and so we're gonna have to watch how he gets utilized. For those maybe unaware, on your left is Eminus, on your right is Control Flirt Delete. We are going to be diving in to our first bit of action today. Excuse me, our third bit of action today, but the first for these two. We'll see how they duke it out, what sort of early strategy they go for already. Eminus dropping some units that are going to be pushing down these lanes. I wonder if he's going to try and invest in, some early control of these potential drop spots. You know, we've seen some players send out right away units to go and take control of the X's on the map. And again, that being because it's pretty big cash influx if you can manage to get a unit there and grab that early bit of cash flow. I am seeing here a bit of an interesting move. 2 troop trucks getting deployed out, both down the lane. I don't know if that's intentional by Control and Eminus, but they're going to be deploying in lane, and that's going to be interesting when these troops decide to eventually push up onto these trucks. And actually, we might have 2 troop trucks deploying against each other here.
Yeah, this should be good. Yeah, we're going to have some strong infantry pushes down this lane. I think Control caught that the truck was doing that, pulling it back, allowing the infantry to do the pushing there. And we got Artie as well from her, and we should see some fights here. Let's see if Eminus will catch his truck as well in the lane. He does have an artillery piece going up onto the high ground, which should allow him to get the first shot on the enemy artillery there. Let's see how she responds to that.
I think Control Flirt Delete's artillery can fire back. Yes, it can. And the turret is able to hit it up on that hilltop, so not an incredibly effective deployment. And this tank here, if it just stays idle, it's going to get peppered by artillery. And actually, the tank's right there to grab the airdrop.
Who's going to win this little bike? Oh, and the bike steals it right before the tank can get in there. Great move from Control there, giving her a big influx of cash, allowing her to push out some more tanks and maybe some artillery.
A big cash grab for sure, and curious to see how it gets utilized. This artillery is just peppering Eminus's units down in the south, and I think he's being his attention's being split because look at this. Control Flirt Delete's thrown 3 tanks down the quick lane in this map. It's an interesting map because of this one lane here. The troops don't go down it, but you can send trucks straight down this initial lane here on both sides and be right up on the base turrets, and that's what's happening here. And Eminus is trying to react accordingly. There's been a lot of damage onto these towers from these tanks as he does finally clear it out.
Don't speak so soon. We got 2 more tanks coming down the fast lane. Got troop trucks pushing up on top. It's quite the battle down that center lane there. Very powerful, quick move that you can make. Try and catch your opponent off guard. That's what's awesome about these maps. You kind of have the normal long lanes in order to have that infantry push, support it, get in there, slow but steady. But you also have these avenues and approaches. You have high ground, you have different quick lanes where you can really push down and do a lot of damage before the opponent can really notice what's happening there. And as you said, one of the towers is already taken out, the other one's heavily damaged, and that could have a big effect later in the round.
Cleared out that initial lane push, but Control Flirt Delete has upgraded. Now has Tiger tanks available, and if she starts sending Tiger tanks down that fast lane, it could go really wrong very fast for Eminus. And all right, this is a bit of an incident. The artillery truck here actually going for the tower, peppering that tower out the gate here, as basically backdooring this base. Everything else is pushing forward up on that top lane while her units sneak past.
Yeah, the artillery did a good little bit of damage there. He's pulled out some tanks in order to counter that. Try and get control of that fast lane there and maybe push some of those other lanes there. Like you said, a big push coming up on the top here, and looks like he's going to get in range very soon. Our first V2 rocket of the round coming down right onto that big push, putting it to rest before it could even get in range of the towers there.
Good job there. Now we're seeing the bomber come in from Eminence, a very powerful unit against troops and trucks. And if Control Flirt Delete doesn't deploy any AA here, it's going to be bad news. She does have AA, though, in the front of her base. It is there to defend. One bomber goes off and catches out an artillery, and it's now peppering the base turret, but it is taking some damage. The mobile AA not terribly effective against this, though. You really do want planes to get up and take out those bombers.
Yeah, it's just a little too far, I think, but it was pretty cheeky.
Yeah.
Got that truck, and then he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna hit this tower 2 more times where you can take me out. Yeah, dive bomber definitely feels really good to use. We do have a drop actually that's come down, but no one's picked it up yet. M&S notices that his bike was just a little too far, picks it up, gets that money influx, and gets his last upgrade there with some big tank destroyers in order to counter those tigers if they do come out.
Really solid bit of work there out of Eminence to bounce back. I mean, he lost 2 turrets already. And, you know, his base could be penetrated pretty quickly, but he's regained map control. You know, he is starting to apply a little pressure into the south. You can see him splitting his attention just a bit there. I just got to wonder if it's going to pay off, because Control Flirt Delete is continuing to pile units up down this fast lane. And I'm just waiting for when that Tiger tank comes barreling down, because that's when things are going to go bad for Eminence. I mean, even now, if these artillery trucks get up.
It's hard to get to those tigers, though. It's just,
oh yeah,
you gotta just sit there and wait and just hope that the map situation doesn't get any worse while you're just sitting there, you know, trying to get your big heavy hitters. But that said, this Artie is going to do a lot of damage. You can see these 2 Artie trucks just laying into those tanks, taking them out in short order. You've got some tanks and artillery pushing with that artillery truck push, and M&S has a lot to deal with here. It's going to be tough to stop with all that artillery coming down. You're going to really have to utilize those planes, and you can see those dive bombers coming in there, trying to get a shot onto those artillery trucks, and not quite able to make it. It seems to not be able to finish its attack run here, and you see it pull it back further out so he can get in there and really get the drop down. There we go. 1 artillery truck down.
Now the AA is getting peppered, though. If that AA goes down, then Control Flirt can invest some planes in defending these artillery trucks, and now they're peppering the base. And it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, those artillery trucks are really good at taking out those buildings.
Oh my goodness.
And it looks like they can... Oh,
there we go. Do it? Yeah, finally. But not before. He's nearly lost all his base health. And there's troops here putting shots onto the base as well. A tank, artillery, a couple of tanks coming in to reinforce. This could be bad news for Eminence.
Yeah, those dive bombers are going to have to put in double duty today. A lot of tanks coming in, but the artillery or the AA is coming down the fast lane here. It's going to shut down all this dive bomber play, and he pulled out a second one, but it wasn't enough.
A fast round here, 8 minutes, and Control Flirt Delete takes the victory in commanding fashion. Really nice job pushing down that fast lane to get the W, and she'll be moving on to face off our next winner, Skiva versus Alex VR, our next upcoming match. But, I mean, for now, that was a fun one to tune into.
Definitely was. You had some good play in the outside lanes, but like you said, really the action was on that fast lane there. Both players having to respond and push down it for control, respectively, and it worked out really well. Just taking out those 2 towers, giving Control that ability to blitz in there and really do a lot of damage, and finally push through to the base. And Eminus really had a lot to deal with, and it was a good match.
Good use of blitz there, especially for the German side. The blitzkrieg definitely coming in effect there for Control to get the W. But yeah, I really like. I mean, it makes me wonder how much she played, because that's a really solid play to recognize that this lane isn't getting utilized. I can push right past all of these units and be right up at the front door. She was the first one to do it, and then from then on, you didn't even see Eminus utilize it because she had control of that lane. So solid bit of play there from Control Flirt Bleed. I'm interested to see how she does as we get deeper into the rounds. We are going to again cut for a very brief break, and we will be right back with more Final Assault for Charity 2020. Again, if you haven't already, hit !stack up for more information on the charity organization, and then !donate so you can get that link and go over and donate. I'm getting word that we have pushed over 2K, which is awesome. It means we made quite a bit over the course of this live stream. So continue to go to that link, continue to donate. And again, a shout out to all of the content creators that are playing in this tournament here today that have driven their communities to those links as well. It's just been, like I said, an awesome community effort.
Yeah, definitely a great community effort by everybody. It's just, it's a worthy cause for sure. I mean, these guys need our help, and if we can help them out by playing some games, throwing some dollar here or there, it can make a huge difference.
No, I totally agree. And they're great guys. I've got the chance to meet them in person. I've gone to some of those events where they're at those big conventions, and I've met them, and I've seen them multiple times at multiple conventions. They are really just a fantastic group of people, and again, I highly recommend contributing to their organization, because it's like we've been saying, for an awesome cause. Now we're going to cut to a ad break, and we will be right back with our next game. Don't go anywhere. The tournament continues in a few more minutes.
Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call 24/7 if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for hanging with us to that brief ad break. And, you know, you're getting your dose of information on StackUp. It's a fantastic organization. It's why we're doing this tournament. Helps give back to that whole community. So, please, again, !donate if you haven't already. But we got games here to watch before you. Skiva versus Alex VR, our final matchup of the first set of rounds. From here, we move into the second set of rounds, winners facing off against each other. Then we have a third place matchup and then a finals matchup. So we are nearing the end here. We have, like I said, probably 4 or 5 more games left on the table. And so we are... I'm looking forward to those next couple of matchups, but right now I want to see what's going to happen here on iStorp. We're going to fire this matchup. We got Beaumont, and I just missed who that second who's Alex VR was running with, but we'll see once we load in to the lobby. Also may have been noticing we've been changing maps through every round. If you're new to Final Assault, it is a robust experience. All right, it's got a lot of maps. It's got, like I said, variety in units. It's a very good RTS in VR, nonetheless. I highly recommend it if you haven't picked it up. You've seen the ad at $10. Well worth the price. Am I right, Mono?
Yeah, absolutely. This map is so beautiful too. I'm just sitting here looking at all the extra scenery on the outside, man. It is beautiful. You got these nice reflections on the ice, these trees, the snow. It's just, this is a beautiful map.
It's a beautiful game. You know, a lot of the maps just look so good. And when you get down to it and you're just watching the action unfold, like we are here on stream, it just looks good. You know, it's oh, this is interesting. Alex is deploying troop trucks on these initial drop points. Typically, we'll see an investment of like a
Jeep or
a
bike.
Something cheap that's fast. The troop trucks are a little more expensive than that Jeep or bike, and an interesting investment too, considering that he's going to get these units out here early into these lanes.
Yeah, but if they are left uncontested, they are going to push the lane really well, more than if they were just in their base, slowly plodding forward. And he has some tanks that he has coming out to defend them there, push the lanes as well. So kind of a really strong push coming from Alex.
He's definitely got a strategy in mind. You know, he's got something that he wants to do here with these troop trucks. The problem is that these troop truck deployments in the south aren't terribly efficient. You can see the troops have to run around to the back, and then they push the lane. And so you are losing time there on the deployment. I think that may even be the same case here with these troops in the north. I think those also are going the long route when they get deployed. Either way, he's got control of the map pretty nicely with some other units he's thrown out there. A couple of tanks and artillery. And Skiva has not been putting out a lot of units on the ground. He does see that airdrop come in, and maybe now he's recognizing that he doesn't have control of these drop points.
Yeah, definitely interesting strategies that you can employ. Just like in any RTS game, you can go for maybe more of that late game strategy, really bide your time, use your resources to tech up in order to get more efficient units. But you could also go for more of a rush strategy, try and use those basic units, but use a lot of them and really put a lot of pressure, force your opponent to, you know, stop their plans and counter you. And it's just really powerful move to make here, as you can kind of see like the tanks pushing up there with artillery support. You had those quick troop trucks on the objectives there, just in case a drop comes down. He will be ready, you know, pick them up in order to continue his push. It's working really well. He's pushing like every single lane here.
Yeah, it's a solid combo that he has when he's throwing these tanks in with his troops and the artillery. Nonetheless, the artillery is the real key element here in the south, because that artillery is clearing out the troop units, allowing for his troops to just constantly step forward and continue to apply pressure forward onto tanks or turrets. And here we do see, I mean, this south push is continuing to go well for him. He's popped out a couple of tanks. The artillery barrage does get a few rounds off, but not before it does gets picked off itself, and he's lost. And this is tanks peppering away at base turrets right now.
Yeah, Skiva is realizing he's got a lot to contend with. They're coming on both sides here. Strong pushes, tanks and artillery.
Goodness.
And Alex is pushing up those troop trucks really aggressively. keeping him on the back foot here.
And he can do it because he got 3 artillery on the back end. They're all overwatching these troop trucks. He may have overextended with these now, but I don't know. He is, yeah, like you've been saying. I mean, look at all of these tanks down here.
The tank's basically just right in the face of those troop trucks. It's like, what's up? Luckily, there doesn't seem to be any kind of friendly fire for him to deal with there. Otherwise, those artillery pieces would have done some good damage to those trucks.
Yeah, 5
Look
tanks
at this push,
now.
though.
Yeah, this would be great
man.
for an artillery barrage. The problem is Skiva's invested so much into upgrading units that he doesn't have any cash flow now, and he's trying to batter back this massive push in the north by putting out a couple more tanks, but it's just not. It's just going to be, you know, fodder, if you will, at this point. A few tanks is not going to be enough to shut down an army that is cultivated. If anything, a couple of artillery units may have done the trick, because those would have AoE'd this group down. But, well, he's doing damage. He's gotten 2 Jeeps down. He's trying to swing around here. These tanks are peppering away, and here come bazooka troops up to the front line. This is going to be Alex just non-stop pressuring this base of Skiva. And at this point, Skiva maybe feeling a bit defeated. I don't know what the comeback route is, because there are so many. Definitely needs an artillery barrage here. That would really help a lot.
We're gonna get it. The Calliope coming out of the base.
Ooh.
Rockets firing.
A big unit. Is it in time, though? That's the problem. I don't even think it can kill these before they can shut down his base, and he's trying. He's gotten rid of a good pack. You can see the
look at
hands
that.
thrown up in despair, and yeah, the push is still coming in. Alex does not let up. This is going to be a tough one. And you think about the next matches here of the day, you know, Control, Flirt, Delete has to go up against Alex, and Alex just absolutely dominated this round. A 5-minute win. We've seen it happen before. It can happen in this game where you just get these incredibly quick rounds and you just get overwhelmed. I mean, shoot, you did it to me.
What a crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. You could see those 2 different strategies, you know, go up against each other. Skiva trying to tech up to get those Calliope tanks. We already know how dominant those can be, you know, versus a more rush strategy that Alex eventually employed. He only ever got to tier 2, and he didn't actually use any of those tier 2 units. He was just mostly pushing forward, you know, using those tanks, using those troop transports, supporting with the artillery, and he just got like a critical mass in both of those lanes, and Skiva, you know, couldn't really do anything to counter it. You didn't really have, you know, a strong air force being Beaumont in order to counter that, which would have been really strong, like some dive bombers or the anti-tank planes.
Ooh. Man, some bombers would have been huge there. You know, they would have absolutely shut down that huge grouping of tanks right away.
Yeah, Alex, you know, maybe he knew that going forward, and so he decided to go for that strong push. And those are those kind of meta decisions that you're going to have to make when you go in there once you realize what kind of commander you're facing up against, and it can totally change the way you play. So a lot of fun little back and forth options in this game that I really like and really enjoy to see.
Direct your attention to the standings quickly. We have our first round completed. Anyone that has lost in this first round has been eliminated. They are out of the tournament. And going on from here, we have, sadly, it's Bradley versus Soul Fox. That's coming up next in a few moments after our next ad break. And then Control, Flirt, Delete, and Alex VR, the second matchup in that semi stage. From there, we move on to our bronze match, our 3rd place matchup, and then obviously the finals, the 1st and 2nd place matchup. I mean, there are some good players here. Alex is looking good. You know, Alex and Brad could be a solid matchup. Brad and Soul Fox is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the next couple of matchups that we have, Mono. It's going to be. This has been fun so far.
Yeah, a lot of good play from both sides. Different heroes being used, different strategies. We've kind of got the gamut.
We really
I'm excited to see what our players bring for the next ones.
Showing off Final Assault excellently to anyone that's new. I do recommend going and picking it up. Like you've seen, it's only $10 now. It's the cheapest it's ever been, and well worth the price. It's just a really nicely created product. Also, again, if you haven't already, exclamation point stack up, exclamation point donate. Get over there and donate to the stackup.org foundation. This is what this whole tournament's here for. So Be sure to go check that out. We will be cutting to a brief intermission, and then we will be right back with our next set of games. Sadly, it's Bradley versus Soul Fox Gaming. Don't go anywhere. More Final Assault action coming up.
Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call 24/7 if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for patiently waiting for our next matchup of the day. We're getting down to the last few rounds of this Final Assault for Charity 2020 event. We got Sally's, Bradley, and Soul Fox, and like 4 more maps left in the day today. It's so far been fun. We've had a variety. You know, we've had some 10-minute rounds, we've had some 15, 20-minute rounds, and we've had that quick 5-minute round. I'm gonna lean here into Bradley's side. I think Brad's probably going to take this one. That's where my confidence ends up going at the very least. Just because, like we've been saying in the pre-show and stuff, he's one of the players with the most experience in Final Assault. Not just in in this tournament, just in the game and in the community as a whole. He is a key element of that Final Assault community, and he's been playing since, you know, like you said, he played in that World Gaming Conference in 2019. He's been a player that's been playing competitively in Final Assault for a good while. So, very interested to see what we get out of the matchup today. We're just patiently waiting for both teams to get into lobby. I mean, Mono, this should be a fun one to tune into. SoulFox did good against his matchup.
Yeah, I wouldn't count SoulFox out. Yeah, I definitely think he's got a chance. This is not the kind of game where it's solved. You know, we've seen already a bunch of different strategies, different heroes, different, you know, going for like an early push, going for the tech, you know, going air, going grounds. There's no right answer. And I think that either player could clinch this just based on their play and their strategies.
Yeah, you know, it's it's exciting, man. It's been a while since I've gotten to watch competitive Final Assault, and it's really fun that it's back. And it has been so fun to spectate. You know, they've put a lot of polish into this game over the course of the years, and even in its spectate elements, they've made it really nice. And I think we're ready. I think we're all here. We have Sally, it's Bradley running Nichols. We have SoulFox running Wolf. So we will be seeing that air versus tank sort of battle out going here, and I think we're ready to go. Let's fire up our next round of the day. This tournament continues to be a fun one to tune into, and again, it's all for charity. So if you're not already, make sure you're hitting that exclamation point donate command in chat. That'll direct you to a link where you can go ahead and donate to that. I mean, honestly, just a fantastic cause. The StackUp.org organization is excellent. And here we go. Round number 7, I believe, of the day. No, round 5 of the day, excuse me.
Yeah, not quite 7.
No, we're not there yet. Let's see the early game. Sad. Bradley is very clearly waiting for upgrades. You know, you don't see any units coming out right away. And especially with Nichols, he wants that tier 2 so he can get to the P41. And really, that's when the bread and butter of that class is going to come out. You can see there the 25 gold gets up. That's the unlock. Oh, actually, it's not. He goes for a bomber buy instead. So he's going with an early bomber plane sort of presence. And it's actually not a bomber, excuse me. It's a troop transport. That's right. Nichols does not have that bomber early. It does have the troop transport. And those troop transport units, I believe, are a little bit thicker than the normal ones that are going down the lane. And I think they're a little bit thicker than the truck troop transport. So kind of the main element of Brad is going to be with that troop command. You can see another troop deployer coming out here. And instead of him deploying troop trucks, those are the units he's going to try and utilize to gain a advantage on this ground units and in these lanes. And he's also got a couple of fighters out because he wants air superiority.
Yeah, he definitely needs it. It's very much key for that class. And also, now that he knows, SoulFox knows what class he's playing, he knows that the air is really important there. So
yeah.
Getting control of the air is going to be key.
Yeah, it really
especially
is.
With...
Go ahead.
You know, especially with, you know, once he has that air support, those air troops that you were talking about earlier are really going to be able to do a lot of damage, because if he can take out the planes before they can strafe the lanes, the infantry is going to, you know, really wreak havoc on those towers for SoulFox.
And this is something that Brad has always enjoyed. He's always been a aerial unit player. He's always played Nichols in particular, the unit, a class that he is very seasoned with. And the P45 is dangerous. It can really do a lot of damage to ground units. And now that it's out, he's managed to take out a Jeep that was positioned here to grab this troop transport, excuse me, not this troop, the cash drop, and he's trying to get rid of it. Yes, he does. There is no truck here to get this cash. Brad's going to be able to get here after he shut down what was an early setup from SoulFox.
What an amazing play there, using that plane to deny it.
Yeah.
Kill 2 units. And not being able to take that is going to be huge, as now Bradley has that influx of cash. You got to battle the light units on the old point as well. What a tough little battle there for Soul.
Yep, and that's the real. I mean, that's the Nichols really shining. That ability. If you can micromanage your units, Nichols is an incredibly effective class. Can just do a lot of work to both ground and air. has troop control. Your planes can strafe, and it's just there's just so much to it. And you can see Soul is trying to react by getting AA out, but he forgot about the AA he had there, and it actually just went down lane and died to the troop drop of Bradley. And look at this south lane; it is getting thick with units.
Yeah, it is quickly, getting out of control there. He's got the, high ground. He's got the planes supporting it. He's got a little bit of artillery and tanks pushing down it. It's going to be a tough one for Soul Fox to counter that.
And he's trying. Soul Fox just sent a fighter. He's actually sent a few to the back line here. He's trying to get rid of these troop transports. The problem is he's got them sitting over the AA, and Brad is micromanaging them well enough where he's pulling them back. Oh, he's got them on a loop. The loop he has them on brings them around to the front there to drop, and then all the way back to his AA. So even if Soul Fox does deploy some fighters out here, they're going to get sucked back over to this base AA.
A strong move there, using those patrol paths from the planes. Super powerful, allowing you to look at other parts of the battle without necessarily always microing your planes, because that would take all day if you always had to make every single attack run they ever did. But man, he's already on Soul Fox's towers now, doing a lot of damage there. The infantry pushing forward, peppering it, and the artillery in the back just sitting there pretty, firing rounds down range and just putting the hurt on them.
20 seconds until that next cash drop, and you can. And the thing is, at this level, Brad is certainly aware of the timing. He's paying attention to when that next drop's going to be, he's setting up for it in his mind. That he'll need to be at those drop locations to grab it, and honestly, he's got a lot of control here. The entire map really is his to work with. There's no air control from Soul Fox up over the middle, and Brad is amassing units in a lot of different places.
That's the thing too. Once you lose control of the air and you have to rely on, the ground AA, they are powerful, but they are expensive. They're really expensive for what they do, and being a ground unit, they're inherently slow, so you really have to use them very, very effectively. Positioning is key in order to get the most use out of them, but the artillery strikes are coming down and doing good damage on the defense by Soul Fox. Whoa, tower goes down, artillery truck goes down, and an AA goes down.
And a second artillery barrage, because Brad got the cash drop. He instantly went back up to max cash and then slams the garage. So any units coming out instantly die, and now the whole push is right at the door of Soul Fox Gaming. I don't even think he recognized that artillery barrage was happening. Now that the AA is gone too, it's going to open up the strafing runs for Brad's planes.
Yeah, those super fighters are so strong. With one strafe, they can take out tanks if you hit them really well there. So it's tough to come back from this.
Yeah.
Don't even know what to say. There's just so much going on there. He's got the artillery AA unit as well. It's just, and there we go.
Soul Fox,
sadly, Bradley takes it.
Yeah, Soul Fox waving the white flag at the end there. The surrender from him, and a solid. I mean, that's what I expect out of Brad. He is a excellent player, very skilled, and hard to deal with. He is going to be an element in this tournament that is just going to be so hard to uproot. Alex has to win his next matchup up against Control Flirt Delete, and then whoever wins that against Control Flirt or Alex, they have a tough finals battle ahead of them. The bronze matchup should be pretty good, though. Soul Fox is going to be moving down to that. We'll cover that in just a few games from now. But, I mean, it's what you expect out of someone that has competed in Final Assault for a while, right, Mono? I mean, when you compete in any game for a while.
Yeah, you really pick up on the nuances. You get those skills. You know what to counter and what to look for. But it was a good match. Soul did really good there. Different strategies coming from both players, and something I noticed but didn't get a chance to say is, like, he had those troop trucks pushing down the center lane, and I thought that was really cool from him, trying to put the pressure on before Bradley could really get a mass of that air.
Yeah. But
he wasn't able to do it in time. But it was a really good try. It was a really fun match to watch.
Solid bit of back and forth throughout the whole of today, and you know, Bradley with a commanding win there. We'll see how Control Flirt does against Alex in our upcoming match. We will cut to a brief break, and then we will come right back into the action. Do not go anywhere. Final Assault for Charity 2020. We'll be right back.
It's on.
Let's do this.
Again?
Again.
Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call 24/7 if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for patiently waiting as we readied up our next set of players, and we are here ready to rock. This is going to be what I mean. We're nearing the bronze matchup. Next up is bronze, and then the finals. So we are getting down to the brass tacks of things, down to these final couple of matches, and we have Control Flirt Delete versus Alex VR. Again, 2 great content creators. I highly recommend you go check them out if you haven't already on Twitter. Most of them do Twitch and YouTube. Make sure you're following both so that you're always up to date on when they go live. And that's the case with all of these contestants today. They're all content creators, so make sure you're going and getting involved and following them. You can see them in the standings, and I highly recommend you check it out. We got action in front of us here, though. We got to dive into this game. It is going to be on Maginot, I believe. I'm not sure if I have the correct map. Oh, no, Hill 512, excuse me.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Hill 512.
And let's fire it out. Let's get into our next matchup of the day.
I'm really interested to see how this one plays out. Both of these players have done a more aggressive style here, and now we're going to see these 2 different players butt up, possibly doing the same kind of strategy. And if that happens, I'm really excited. And on this kind of map that's a little bit on the medium, the smaller side, we could see some really ferocious fighting right off the bat.
Yeah, this, I definitely would say this more of a medium. We've had some smaller maps than this. I mean, the one that Control Flirt Delete was on last was definitely smaller. But yeah, I like the bigger maps just because they force a lot of a split attention. You know, you really have to make sure you're watching all of the different lanes, all the different approaches, where people are hiding units behind buildings. It's a lot of awareness that gets factored in here. And already in the early game, interesting to always see. Do they go for troop trucks? Do they go for a tank push? Do they invest in controlling the drops early? And I think in Alex's case, he is investing in controlling these early drops.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the early ones, I think, make the biggest difference. Getting that cash early allows you to really control the flow of the game. You know, either pushing in hard, a lot of units, get some tech ups maybe, get an Air Force going when you didn't have one. So many options when you have a large boost of cash.
It does make me wonder. I think everyone that's gotten the first cash drop has won today.
It's definitely a key element of this game, you know, getting control of those, duking it out. I do really like that about this game, too, because it just forces those fights. You can't just sit in your base and just turtle. You really have to contest the whole map.
It really does do a good job of creating focal points that are outside of your normal lanes. You know, it like you said, it forces movement elsewhere instead of just sending troops down a lane to attack. And I guess in the case of Alex, he does like to get those troop trucks down into the lane, and it has worked for him. You know, I think in most cases teams would look to punish that, but he has gotten big control here of this initial north lane. He's got his fighters strafing, and he's gonna get that first cash drop unless Control Flirt Delete reacts accordingly and starts to invest in taking control here. I mean, this drop's gonna be coming in any minute, and he's got tanks on 2 out of 3 locations.
This is a tough one. He's been using that plane really well there. While it isn't a powerhouse necessarily against tanks or artillery, it does damage them, as you said in a previous match here. And he's already taken out 1 artillery, and these strafes continue to come in here, peppering the truck, peppering the artillery. And, you know, Control is, you know, tried to pull out an AA to counter it, but that artillery shut it down quickly.
Yeah, a good reaction from Control, though. She recognized the AA wasn't doing what it needed to and sent out a plane. The plane finally fights down that other plane that's strafing, and now she's got North Control, a nice little squad pushing up of 3 tanks. But here comes the airdrop that has been focused by Alex, and it's going to go into that middle where he's got his tank already set up.
Yeah, you can't take out that tank quick enough in order to contest it. And there we go. He's got it. He's got the first drop. He's got that extra bit of cash there. Immediately invests it into some units. He's got 7 tanks right now. Well, big tank battles going on between these 2 players. Control with 6 as well. A lot of trucks on her side. But Alex, he's got that ace in the hole. He's got that big 88mm gun to set up and do a lot of damage on those tanks if he can get in a good position.
Curious to see where he sets it up, too, because if you get it up onto that high ground, it definitely does some serious damage. And there's all kinds of different places he can put it on this map. In reality, he could be putting these things right up to be shooting at the base of Control Flirt Delete without her really being able to react with unless she invested in a push out to the unit. So we'll see what Alex ends up doing, but he's got his tier 2 upgraded. Control Flirt Delete has tier 3. And so we're going to be getting into this end game / mid game right about now.
Yeah, it definitely can be really quick there. It's a lot of fun that if you want to, you can tech up very quickly. And if you're able to handle the aggression, it can really pay off.
Talked about that. What is it? The 80 millimeters? Is that what you said? That's already pumping out. 88. It is just doing damage to this tower. Alex has a tank that's up front defending it. The attacking tank from Control is getting slammed. It goes down, and you can see Control does recognize the threat here. She's amassed an army and is sending it out, but if it sits too long, it's just going to get peppered by this range of this 88.
Yeah, these longer range artillery style units can really do a lot of damage and really pay for themselves very quickly. Same with planes as well. And it's going to be tough to really take it out, as Alex has a really good base here. He's got some tanks. He's got the artillery pieces up on the high ground. And Control's really having to run a gauntlet in order to get to it.
Here comes the strafe, too. It's going to force the tanks to focus on troops because troops are going to be all that's up on this lane, because the troops versus troops aren't going to happen. And it's just a good bit of play here from Alex. He does have one of his 88 stuck, though.
Yeah, it's trying to get past, but, you know, too thick, man. It's too thick.
He recognizes it now.
Still kind of
Yeah,
in
you
the way,
can't.
though. It's so slow once you lose your you lose the Jeep.
The trouble is it's really throwing all his focus down to that bottom side too. And in the meanwhile, Control has taken command of the air. She's got a bomber up there that could really do some damage if she directs it accordingly. And here comes the drop, goes into the hands of Alex. The second drop in a row for him. He's gonna have a lot of cash now.
Immediately. Oh, nice V2
Huge
rocket,
missile.
taking out a lot. Look at all those wrecks.
And the timing too. The push is coming in from Control on the bottom. The problem is again with these bigger maps, you gotta divide your attention. And here is a bazooka troop deploying as 2 tanks slam away at the base on the north.
Yeah, she's definitely going to have to look at both sides there, as both are being heavily threatened. And it's just tough when you're in this situation. Alex has control of the entire map. He chooses where the engagement's going to happen.
Yeah.
And when the drop comes in, he has the ground, you know, to hold it. You know, when like a bike or the Jeep comes through, usually you can get taken out.
Missile coming out here. Big missiles from Control have shut down. Oh my goodness.
That was a cost-effective missile right there.
Wow. 2 really good missiles from Control to keep her in this. And yeah, we're definitely moving on to the end game. What was looking like a potential quick one from Alex does get shut down, and Control doing a really good job to battle him back here.
Yeah, she definitely has a chance here, but she's pushing out both lanes. She's got that breathing room in order to, you know, really push out and get some map control. And she's going to pick up anti-air gun here as it pushes forward, trying to get past this tank here. There it goes. That's a great pickup for Control.
Yeah, a bit of resources gone. This bazooka troop truck too has no one in front of it. These tanks may find themselves another easy target.
Yeah, definitely see how Alex responds here. He's got 1 tank pulling up, giving him a little bit more time.
Ooh.
Got the tank. Ooh, nice plane strafe from Alex there. He sees the threat here. And as long as he can hold him back, that bazooka truck would be able to throw out those bazooka troops. Very good against tanks, but that will not happen today.
South lane's getting rough. A Tiger tank now approaching in from the bottom, and bombers are going to need to be sent out by Alex shortly if he wants to be able to impact against the tier 3 of Control.
Yeah, that fighter plane isn't quite gonna do it against the Tiger tank. That's for sure.
I don't even know if 2 tanks are going to do it against the Tiger tank.
I don't think so. The artillery barrage coming out. Where is it going to land? Ooh, it's gonna do some damage on those towers. Hit the truck, taking it out, as well as maybe pick up that tank.
Yep.
Ah, there we go.
Tank nearly survives, but it goes down, and weakening the south presence a little bit. Not a ton, considering he doesn't have any troop trucks pushing that south side. He's really just even the odds in terms of presence there. And again, that Tiger tank is continuing to push in.
But look at that. He's got an artillery piece firing up and over the tree line there. The Tiger can't respond. He doesn't have line of sight, unlike the artillery, which can use that arc in order to do damage without being attacked himself. As long as he, you know, spend some time to micro that and keep it out of range of that Tiger tank, you can eventually take it out.
Another artillery barrage, this time onto the Tiger tank.
Yeah, he's done with that Tiger tank.
We saw artillery barrages on Tiger tanks before, though. It doesn't insta-kill them. It's not a guaranteed kill. They are so thick that they can survive through a barrage like that.
And that's just the power of those late game units.
Yep.
You spent, you know, what is it, like $24? 24 bucks
on
that artillery barrage not to, you know, take out the tank.
No, you're right. I mean, it's essentially the cost of a upgrade to a tier 2. You know, 1 unit costs you an upgrade. And so, yeah, when you get up to that tier 3, definitely expensive, and it's maybe why we're not seeing any bombers from Alex yet, because he hasn't bothered to stockpile the cash to buy one. Vivian has just been, you know, really doing a good job to battle back everything he's done.
Yeah, just force your opponent to react to you, and by doing that, you force out inefficiencies when they have to, for example, send the small tanks versus a Tiger, use an artillery strike on the Tiger, that kind of stuff. Just super powerful. And that Tiger strike is still alive, pushing through, and now he even has the upgraded artillery support. It's, you know, really pushing back Alex and causing conundrum for him.
Take a look at the south presence, see how it's going. Artillery truck in that Tiger tank. Just keep barreling down, and the north push gets battled back from control. She has solid map control. She's starting to move up both lanes here. The only real issue that she's running into is the plane superiority from Alex that's really doing good to strafe down any troops in these lanes.
The Tiger tank did go down. Finally, it just took like a ton of artillery. It took the barrage. It took tanks. That thing's a beast. And Control has actually just pulled out another Tiger tank as well. So he's going to have to deal with it all over again.
Love to see a squad of them. That seems to be a really effective bit of unit maneuvering, but we'll see what they do as we're getting into that real to the meat of the mid game, if you will, where everyone's got their unlocks, and it's just a matter of strategy, how they play, who's getting these airdrops to allow for more units, and who's using them effectively. Here comes another artillery barrage, and Viv may have reacted a little bit early enough to get this Tiger tank out of the way.
One tank is going to eat the artillery barrage, but yeah, does get some damage on the towers.
Yep.
Nothing to scoff at.
Yep.
But not hitting those tanks is going to be difficult for Alex, as they are now starting to push down the lane here. And, you know, Control already has a presence in this lane. She's got some artillery. She's got some tanks. And Alex is quickly going to have to do something to counter this.
That heavy north push. And yeah, like you said, with that Tiger tank barreling down the lane, it's the right move. A smart bit of adjustment there from Control to recognize that she had command in the north. The problem is it has left the south relatively weak. Well, as I say that, a Tiger tank comes in and reinforces, and so it's no longer too weak.
As long as she pushes that forward, takes out that artillery that's hitting the towers here, and it looks like she is, she will be able to start pushing that lane as well. And ooh, 2 Tiger tanks, man, and it looks like she's possibly saving up for a third.
Another artillery barrage. Those are expensive. That is a lot of resources being invested into an attempt to get rid of the Tiger tank, and it seems to me that those Tiger tanks really aren't affected too terribly by the barrage, and they can move out of it relatively quickly.
Yeah, it's like the one thing they're faster than. Oh man, this is tough. I mean, Control's push has actually she's at the towers now. She's peppering it with the tank. She's got the Tigers pushing on the other side there, and it looks like we're gonna get a third one, or possibly a strike from her as well.
Yeah,
she's just so focused on micro. She's at 30 money right now.
And she's recognized the exposed lane up the center. A bit of a tank group massing up there in the center lane, ready to push at any moment. Right now would be the time, as this Tiger tank is soaking rounds from these turrets.
Alex, maybe a misclick there, artillerying his own base there. That would have been pretty good against that big push of tanks going down the center there.
Yeah, you're right. That must have been the intended position over onto that left lane instead of the right.
What a comeback, though. I mean, Alex was at Control's door, and she did push it back. Really good use of her special units, which often are what's needed to really, you know, change the tide of battle.
Yeah, and in contrast, we're seeing no bombers getting put out here by Alex. It's a powerful unit, you know, and in fact, you can backdoor the base. If you don't have map control, you can just send bombers to take out the AA and bomb the base. And so without a ton of air up in the sky, it certainly seems like a potential strategy to go with. But Alex is losing health on base here. Control is pushing in, knocking at the door.
Yeah, and once you get this kind of critical mass going, they can just camp anything that comes out of the garage.
And the artillery trucks just slam away on the base. Health dropping so fast, and a excellent comeback from Control Flirt Delete. I mean, she's going to our final. She's facing off against the one and only, sadly, it's Bradley.
What a crazy match. That was super fun. You love to see it. One player looks like they're on the ropes, but they just eke it out, and then they take the, commanding lead there.
Yeah.
Really good match from both players. And, sometimes, even when you don't have any of the drops, you can use your resources really effectively, and that's what Control did there. Good, ability to push out, take that center, push those lanes, use those Tigers to really just make Alex spend so much money trying to counter them, and he just couldn't. He didn't have the time to use those, get the bomber, to get the 88s. It's tough. It's tough. Really good match, though, from both players.
Yep, you're right. The focus there definitely coming in on those higher tier units, and Control just doing a great job to command it, like you said. And to your point, we didn't really see any of the 88s. We didn't see a single bomber. The top tier units just not getting utilized by Alex. Maybe that's his strategy, though. We did see him get a very early win with a heavy tank command. So I think he was trying to mimic that that sort of push. And when it got shut down initially, it was just really good reactions from Control all the way through to get to that tier 3, to get the Tiger tanks out. A very solid job from her to get that W. And I mean, we're now down to the last 2 matches of the day. Next up, we have the bronze match, which is going to be Soul Fox Gaming and Alex VR. And then we have, sadly, it's Bradley versus Control Flirt Delete. So we are down to the 3rd place matchup and our finals, and it's been fun to tune in. I mean, it feels good to be back. To say, I casted some Final Assault in Season 1 and Season 2 for VRML, and it's been a bit of a hiatus since we've done anything competitive with Final Assault, and to be here in this tournament and to be doing it for a good cause, it's so awesome to be a part of. I'm really happy that we are putting this on, and that has been going so well. Shout out to the tournament organizer, Sleepy with 2 3s. He's been doing an excellent job making sure that this thing is running smoothly. It's probably one of the smoothest tournaments I've been a part of. So a shout out to him, and obviously a shout out to everyone that's helped put together what you see here today with the awesome assets, all of the great ads we've been running. It's a full community effort from VRML, from Phaserlog, from StackUp. It really is a display of what the VR community is capable of. And like I said, we made over 2K in donations already to StackUp.org since running this event. In a large portion, I think, that goes to the players you see in the standings just down there. Make sure you're going and following them on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever they go live. Follow them on Twitter so you know when they're going to go live, what content they're creating, especially if you're into VR. I highly recommend that you go and check that out.
Yeah, thanks for donating, guys. Any support you give, watching, being with us today. It gives me the warm and fuzzies to be able to support such a great cause like this. These guys are out there, doing really, great work there.
Yeah.
And
you're right. It's the org is just so great. You've seen ads run, so you should be now familiar with what StackUp's doing. And if you're not please just try and donate a little. I know the times are trying, but like we've been saying, it's such a good cause, and if you can give back, I highly recommend you do to StackUp, because to be delivering games to active military and to our veterans and healing with those games, it's such a cool way to utilize gaming and help you know, in a space that maybe you wouldn't necessarily think it's needed, but it really is. It's such a huge help to be able to let these, you know, active military get a break, to let them play games, let them go to conferences and get a dose of, you know, what a conference is like, and play the newest upcoming titles. It's a fantastic experience for everyone involved. So again, I highly recommend donating. We are going to cut to a very brief intermission, probably only a minute long, and then we will be right back here for our bronze matchup. Actually, you know what? I don't think we even need to cut to an intermission. We got teams in lobby. I just need my co-caster to join me, and then we will be diving into our third place matchup.
Alrighty, and it looks like it's gonna be on Chateau Todd. I think I said that wrong, but I think you can get it.
Chateau Todd.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll help you out. It's this one's one of my favorites. This is a fun map. One lane with tons of verticality, all kinds of different artillery positions to be taken here. Very curious to see how Alex plays this up against Soul Fox. We've got a Nichols versus Simmons battle coming out here, so it's going to be that air versus sort of troop deployment. Actually, I think Simmons is tank. No, Simmons is the bomber.
He's infantry. He's got infantry though too, I think.
Okay, I think, yeah. Well, we'll find out when we get into the game. Trying to remember the nuances of each hero, each class. That's really what the I guess the meta of this game is right? Is knowing.
He does have the bombers, yeah.
Knowing what tier units are what and what division. And it's something that we haven't really called out a lot, is that these players don't know who they're going up against. As we get into this next round, just remember that they don't know that they're going up against the Nichols or that they're going up against a Beaumont or a Simmons until you see a definitive unit, until you see a tier 2 unit or a unique tier 1 unit to that class. The class can be hidden, and so I'm curious to see if Soul or Alex do that here in our third place matchup. But this should be a pretty good one. Both of these players, I would say, are pretty equal in terms of experience in the game.
Right. Yeah, this one will be a lot of fun. I like seeing these single lane maps. They are entirely different dynamic compared to those larger maps. They allow you to do different strategies, and you know, the artillery is really strong. There's just so much you can do.
It's completely different because you're not necessarily focusing the push on the lane. Your attention gets driven to the surrounding pieces of it. Your attention gets driven to the hilltops and the different sort of artillery alleyways that you can set up into. And I'm curious to see if Soul or Alex end up sort of maneuvering around that. Because what we have seen, at least from some of these newer players, is that favoritism towards the lane presence. They want to put their tanks in lane and push that way. And here we do see a troop transport coming out right away from Soul Fox, and that's going to be an indicator to Alex that he's up against the Nichols.
It's strong too. Look, like the paratroopers are in the lane now. They're now pushing the lane, and he just brings it right back into cover. He actually pulled one of Alex's planes into the AA as well. Really good play from him, allowing him to get that air superiority early.
And he recognizes he needs that air superiority. He sends out a fighter to battle back the fighter that is already deployed from Alex, and it does some good damage. A solid strafing run there, and it seems like it's going to win that battle. So the air superiority continuing to favor Soul, and here's Soul throwing some artillery into some nice positions and setting up for our next cast drop.
Cash money. Who will win this little tank battle on the side here? They're both tanks firing, but he's now got the Jeep to just add just that little bit of DPS.
Yep.
And there we go. He barely ekes it out. Good job, little Jeep. You did it.
The question is it going to drop in the north? Because if it drops in the center, Alex has lane control there, and he's got that south drop locked in, and so, you know, commanding 1 out of 3 isn't necessarily where you want to be when this next airdrop comes, and it is coming.
Looks like the odds aren't in his favor here, like as you said. The drop goes down. Only Alex has control of that. Soul's trying to get a tank up there desperately to counter it, but he isn't going to be able to get up there in time. And just like that, the cash drop goes to Alex.
If you're not familiar, whenever you hear that chime, that drink, drink, drink go off, what that is an indicator of is that that player has max cash that they can make. There is a cap to how much cash you can have stockpiled, and it is, I believe, 30. And so,
correct, yep.
if you ever hear that, what that means is that it's a bit of a mismanagement on funds from one of the players. That means that they're not spending right away when they could, and it is an indicator to the players to get rid of that cash, to not be holding on to any money. And so, as soon as Alex picked up that drop, he went full on cash and deployed a couple of units.
And the super fighters are coming out. These are super powerful, so good at taking out the tanks. You got the regular planes, those strafing runs, so good against the infantry, but these super planes, they do the same thing to tanks. They just rip them apart like they don't even have armor.
Yeah, the AA can do some good work against them, but it's not as effective as sending out a fighter plane or something like that to battle it back. Does get rid of one of the P-45s. I think the other one's still hovering here. And what the thing with Nichols is it requires a ton of micromanagement. We saw in the case of, sadly, it's Bradley, he's very well aware of this. He was managing his units, keeping them back when he needed to and pushing them forward when he was ready. If you leave them sort of out floating in the middle, it does put them in a potential vulnerable position. And so you can see Soulfox trying to negotiate all of his planes in the sky. He is losing control of lane.
Yeah, air is so powerful, but so much work too. And if you let it go for just a second, those AA units will just rip them apart, and all that money will get used up like no one's business. Good artillery coming from Alex as well. He's using this time to take out those AA emplacements, allow him to chase those P-45s down with his own fighters.
Yep.
You know, really strong move from him.
He's putting out AA as well, just to sort of battle them back, put that threat out there in the lane. And he's gotten rid of the corner AA, so now he can really invest in planes and be sending them out here over to this side of the map at the very least. And he has actually gotten rid of anyone that was on that airdrop, so maybe he could snag this too.
Let's see how it plays out.
He's got a Jeep coming out, and I don't see a Jeep reacting here from Alex. Excuse me, from Soul.
He did build one, I think. He's trying, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. That Jeep is coming up onto the drop right now. Oh. He's trying to use those planes. Oh, snipes it out just before it was too late.
Huge snipe. There's an AA truck that Alex could repurpose to grab this cash, but he's not going to do it. And the Jeep is going to come in from Soul, so Soul may get his first cash drop of the day.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get it. Alex realizing that, you know, he's not going to be able to get up there in time.
Yeah.
The truck having a little bit of trouble, but it's not going to be enough. And if he continues down that line, that Jeep actually could do some good work on the AA, who can't actually fight back.
More troop transports getting thrown down, and it is a pretty thick grouping of troops here. The artillery, a huge element in shutting down large troop groups, as well as the strafing planes just demolishing that wave there.
Yeah, they cost what, like $7, the planes, fighter planes?
Yeah.
And they can do so much damage. They can counter, yeah, I mean, one plane can honestly counter 4 troop trucks. So air superiority is key.
And you see how much micro these planes take. I mean, look at these two. They can't see each other when they're playing, but they are both just sitting over their planes watching it as the rest of the game goes on. And I guess you can do that when you're in a single lane sort of map, but would have been maybe an opportunity for a flank from Alex or something along those lines. But instead we have that bit of a, I wouldn't say stalemate, but the dueling for control over this middle lane.
It's going to be tough, too, because Soulfox almost has control of the hill here. He just took out an artillery piece with his tank. He's got infantry coming up here. Alex is going to have to do something to counter this, and quickly.
Problem is he's got
88's coming out.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's going to be it. They don't do terribly well against troops, though.
No, it's a little overkill. That's what he's got the tank and the Jeep for. They comes with the 88. Nice little added value. Get a little bit of extra DPS going down the lane there. But it's tough. It's tough with all that air that Soul Fox has. He just has a lot of troop and money available to him. If you look at the net worth, $109 to Alex's 55, and he's gonna really have to make that 55 count for a lot. Otherwise, he's gonna get pushed out here.
Ooh, and artillery coming in. The weakness of these 88s, they're so slow that a single barrage can usually take them out. They're hard to avoid. And this is a good barrage. It's gonna get, it might, oh my.
Oh my gosh.
The P45 on the back end and the artillery barrage completely wipes out every unit for Alex.
Now
And
he's
a
got to
tower.
defend with $15. His only unit is an anti-air right now.
Well,
he's got artillery, he's got infantry pushing. There's probably some tanks coming up here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've been noticing, but that artillery in the south has been sitting here for this whole time, just peppering this turret.
Giving himself those options, trying to go for that back door there. Get the flank on. Oh, man.
He's trying to get the AA up there to deal with those planes, but the right strategy would be instead to invest in planes of his own, I think. The AAs ends up running into all of these troops and dying, and that troop wave continues to build.
That's the bind though. When you're fighting against Nickel, she has that late game anti-air unit that's also kind of like a tank. He's got it kind of sitting in the back line there, and if Alex pulls out any planes, he'll just pull that forward and it'll able to take out those planes. So he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, he's peppering away on one of the last remaining turrets up in the north. Another barrage coming in. Maybe at base? No, at that turret and the AA if it can get it.
Yeah, taking out that AA would be key. Without that, you'll just be able to attack the base more or less with impunity, or really just the units coming out. So this is a tough one. Alex has had to spend so much money on anti-air,
and they keep dying. He keeps sending them down lanes, and then they just get scooped up by these troops. So it's a in the moment where he really needs every dollar to battle back this push. It's unutilized cash. And Soul Fox is capitalizing on this. He very well could take this third place matchup if he continues this push in the north.
Yeah, I think he's gonna clinch it. This is a tough one to come back for from any player here.
Artillery would be good.
Yeah, it's just tough because the artillery is basically in the front lines as soon as they come out of the garage.
Yep, and now comes the base damage. And look at how powerful these troop soldiers are. Look at the damage that they're doing to the base. This is why the troop transport is so strong, because those troop transport units are better than your normal lane unit. They do more damage, and right now they are wrecking the lane. I mean, look at this. Soul Fox wants a first-person view to his victory. He gets down into the battlefield. He's going to get it. A solid push from him, going to snag him third place. And a good victory against Alex VR Soul Fox, our victor and third place placement. I mean, that was a great third place matchup.
Absolutely. We saw different kind of strategies. We saw a different kind of map. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Those drops were key as usual.
Yep. And
good
again,
play from
the first drop winner gets the victory. So the trend continues. Whoever's snagging that first drop seems to be the one that continues to come out on top. And Soul Fox certainly the one to do it there. Solid job from him. And I mean, this is what we expect here. You know, this is solid bit of gaming. You know, not necessarily everyone incredibly experienced or veterans of the game, but I mean, I think we saw players get better over the course of that. I mean, Control is playing so well right now, so I think she'll be able to give Brad a good run for his money in our next matchup, in that finals battle.
I absolutely think that we will see a great battle there. Bradley doesn't know what to expect necessarily.
True.
She has kind of newcomer advantage of just, doing whatever seems just right to her, and it could really put Bradley on the back foot. So I'm excited to see how that one will play out there.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been really good. Even from these newer players, they put the effort forward there. You can see they've done some of their own homework there, done their own strategies, and I'm having fun.
That's great. This has been a really good, solid day today. If you haven't already, make sure you hit !stack up, get a little information on what this is all for, what this charity event's all about. Also hit !donate. You can go ahead and donate to the Stack Up org. We are over 2K, charging forward on donations. Thank you guys so much for contributing to what is a very, I mean, awesome cause. We're going to take a very brief break here on the desk, and then we will be right back for our final matchup of the day. After that, I think we're going to interview the players. So there's going to be a lot to coming up here in this final stretch. Don't go anywhere. More Final Assault for Charity 2020 coming at you.
Are you a veteran or currently serving? Or perhaps you're a civilian that has a veteran in your life? We want to stack up with you. StackUp.org brings both veterans and civilians together through a shared love of gaming. StackUp serves not only active duty troops and veterans in the U.S., but also our allies throughout the world. We do this through 4 primary programs. Supply crates, giant boxes of the latest in games and gear sent to active duty troops and veterans to raise morale, build camaraderie, and help combat post-traumatic stress. Air assaults, where we fly deserving veterans to life-changing gaming and geek culture events. The Stacks, our local volunteer teams coming together to support military personnel around their community. And our Stop Squad, Stack Up suicide awareness and mental health support team. Our trained volunteers are on call 24/7 if you're looking to talk with someone about your problems. We're here to help. Please reach out to us through StackUp.org to find out how we can support you or the veteran in your life today.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final matchup of the day of the Final Assault for Charity 2020 event. We're here. It's Bradley versus Control Flirt Delete, and we're ready to dive in to what is the last map of the day. This is exciting times. It has been a really good tournament to tune into. Really fun to watch these content creators come out here and play competitively, go up against each other. And now here we are in the finals. We got a Nichols for Bradley, his textbook airplane style, going up against the likes of Control, Flirt, Delete. And we'll see how this shakes up as we hop into the last round of the day. I mean, Mono, this has been fun to watch. And, you know, it's really getting a good idea of the nuance of this game as an esport, you know? Picking different characters, that pull out different units, and different ways to use those units.
Right. Yeah, there's just so much strategy that goes on between these two players. They have to react to what the other person's doing, what units they're using, what tech levels they're going for.
Right.
There's just so much that they got to do there, and yeah, it's crazy when you're in there. You're grabbing your units, you're looking everywhere. You can't just like pan around. You don't have like a mini map.
Yeah.
You have to look around yourself in VR, and that's, I think, something that's really special about this game compared to just a traditional RTS. You're in it. You're feeling it. You're seeing these units. You can pull yourself down low. You can see the units battling it out, shooting at each other, get those flanks on. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and, you know, when you talk about tunnel vision, it's even more so in this game. In an RTS like this, you've really got to keep your head on a swivel. You got to be watching all the lanes. You know, you have to be looking to your left, your right, your center. You got to be monitoring the sky. There's just a lot where your eyes have to get drawn. And when you don't have, you know, what would be 220 or whatever, real life field of view, you really got to turn your head. You got to check your angles, and it's the little things that ultimately will end up getting you W's. And we saw, I don't know if you did at least, but Brad threw down a strafe right away on the first bit of troops on this south lane. And here he is, peppering away at the base.
Yeah, doing really well there. Forcing Control to tech up early, grab that AA to try and fight back this air control that sadly is already taken there. And only with one plane, but he's got those paradrop troops coming in as well, putting pressure on Control, really pushing those lanes.
And Brad tried to sneak a Jeep in here. He tried to hide it behind the house, but Control did a really good job of recognizing this. She sicked a bomber and a P-45 on it. The bomber having some trouble with his route, but that Jeep is right there. And actually, he's going to push the Jeep forward. That's going to die. Viv could potentially, Control could potentially take this first drop. And no, the Jeep drops back. It gets scooped up. Can he shut down the... No, he can't. Control gets the first drop of the day. And hey, the first drop winner has been our winner throughout the day. So we'll see what Control can do with it.
Yeah, Bradley might as well just quit now, right? Let's see how this plays out. That influx of cash will give Control a nice windfall in order to really push her strategy here. And you can see it already. She's got a force brewing right in her base right now. 2 artillery trucks, got some tanks coming out as well. As long as she can get some anti-air to go with it, it'll be a really strong push.
She doesn't have anti-air, though. Brad's going to do an easy job of taking down a group. This P-45 can strafe and tag multiple units, so going to be something that she's got to watch out for. AA here is circling around in the center and clearing out her own fighters. And so Brad is trying to get the skies back into his command so that he can shut down any sort of ground push that comes in from Control.
It's definitely going to be a tough one here, especially when she gets that artillery into place. It'll rip apart that artillery. That's something that they're just so great at. They have such a high rate of fire, big explosive radius on those shots. And here we go. It looks like she's chosen her attack path. The group is heading out here. She does actually have 1 AA, but it's more of a base defender here, just sitting on the perch there. We'll see if she decides to push it forward here, because if she doesn't, those P-45s will attack her attack group with impunity and quickly take out that group. And you can already see Bradley pulling in all his fighters, those P-45s, and getting the strafes going.
Ooh.
Masterful Control there. 2 artillery trucks down.
He's doing so good to strafe them here. And Control is trying to react, but she's putting the tier 2 unit that isn't a fighter out to try and attack in the sky, and that's not as effective as just a raw fighter. Those fighters are the best air-to-air sort of defense that you can put out. On top, they're better than AA. And so if you can get more fighters out, it's going to be the way to battle back Brad. But Control seems to be investing in these ground troops still, and it's a bit of a stalemate in the middle ground here. You know, Control's putting out these units. It's forcing Brad to invest in getting rid of them, and it's denying his ability to push forward like maybe he wants to.
Yeah, man, those P45s though, they're so strong.
They really are.
You can see him using them to joust inside her base, just on the edge, just so close to getting into that base AA range, but just not quite enough, and it's just doing so much damage every time Control pushes out. Those planes take them out, and their value, their money to value, whatever value, is just so high right now.
Really doing a lot of work for him here. The Ruck trying to get rid of the AA that's deployed in the center there. Can't quite hit it because what Brad has done is sent his anti-air on a loop. And this is something you can do in this game. You can set loops and patrol routes for your units, and it lets you sort of keep them mobile. They can dodge certain artillery rounds. They can dodge certain bomb deployments. It makes them incredibly effective. It increases their survivability, I should say, a significant amount. And the push continuing for Brad. He is putting his tanks up through that middle lane. He's bolstering his AA in the center so he can continue to put out P45s, and this is going his way for now. Control is doing her best to battle back, though, and she still hasn't gotten the Tigers, which were what we saw as the key element for her push out when she won the game last.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for Control to defend. He has such a hold there on those bottom towers. One going down, P45 getting the killing blow. Artillery strikes coming in, taking out any units coming out to defend. We've seen that a couple of times. Yeah, so we've seen that a couple of times these last few matches. Just use that artillery to confirm it. You know, anybody coming out of there, they can't dodge, they can't get out of the way, and it allows your push to really get that foothold that you need to start damaging the base, and that's what we're seeing now.
And we're into Danger Town because he's got those embolstered troops from his troop transport that are peppering away at the base. And Viv, Control Fleur Delete, is losing her base very quickly. The tanks here peppering away. The P45's even getting a little bit of work in over the anti-air. And, oh, look at this. The Jeep push. It is thick and it is fast. There is Bradley charging in on what he sees as a victory, and it is going to be Brad locking this one up. An intense battle back there from Control to nearly get herself some lane presence there. She almost had it, but then Brad just continued to apply that momentum. He continues to ride his tier upgrades, eventually gets his way into the base, and then just continues to really push forward. A solid round from Control, and a really great way to, I guess, wrap up the series. A good finals, Mono.
Absolutely, yeah. That airplay from Brad was just, it was hard. It was hard for let me try it again. It was really hard for Control to deal with. Those P45s were doing so much damage to everything she was putting out there, and by, you know, combining it with some artillery, some tanks, and, you know, most importantly, all that infantry pushing, he was able to take out the AA that was trying to push out. It was trying to get there to stop them.
It was close,
but, you know, yeah, it was close. It was really close there. But, you know, that map control can mean all the difference.
I think we are going to get, sadly, it's Bradley in here to discuss his victory. So if you can give us a brief couple of moments to hash that out. He should be dropping in shortly, and we can kind of get his perspective on things, if you will, in terms of how the matches went today. Because I'm curious what he thinks. You know, he's been obviously sort of all of these content creators encouraging their communities to donate to this charity, to what this whole event is for. Final Assault for Charity. You can see it above me for 2020. So there's a lot that's getting factored in here, and you know, I'm curious to see how he feels about the day, about winning this charity cup, and I think we're gonna bring him in shortly. We're gonna cut to a very brief intermission while we get everything set up, and we'll be right back with an interview from Brad and a wrap up for the Final Assault for Charity for 2020. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for briefly waiting as we get our champion, the anonymous picture there. For sadly, it's Bradley. Brad, a great day today. The Charity Cup, everything. How are you feeling going into the day today?
Feeling pretty good. I mean, I've been sick the past week. I'm still getting over that cold, but other than that, I was feeling nervous. I couldn't sleep last night, so I was definitely nervous. So.
Well, you played great today, and I mean, we've seen a lot of like I was mentioning in our pre-show, you're a player that's been around since the World Gaming Conference tournament in 2019. You've been playing Final Assault for a while. The game has changed a little bit since you've last played, has it not?
Yes, it has definitely changed. Nichols has changed a lot. It's good in some ways, terrible in other ways. As for the other characters, I don't really care about them, so you'll have to ask someone else.
Well, some things never change, I suppose, then. That's always been your preference. You've always been gravitating towards the Nichols, so it doesn't surprise me. I mean, we've raised, I think, well over $2,000 at this point for the Stack Up Org charity event. I mean, how does it feel to sort of get that victory and be playing in a cup that's going to a great cause?
No, that's fantastic. I mean, I originally, when this cup was pretty much organized, there wasn't really any prize money for the player. I just agreed because I thought that was a great cause to just actually compete against for money for charity, but not just the overall community, but my community. I want to give a special thank you. My community alone raised almost like, let's see here.
Details.
$225, which is pretty good. I'm very happy with that. Thank you guys who have been following me for years. Most of them donated, so thank you for that.
That is so awesome. And, that's, I think, one of the added values of this cup, right? We have a ton of content creators throughout the board. We have Reality Check, Gamertag, Soulfox, Control Flirt, Delete, Skiva, Alex VR, Eric Hartley. All of them do content creation at some level. And I mean, I think a little off topic, but I've been paying attention to it. You've been doing some map design too. How's that been going for you?
It was so great that I burnt myself out doing it.
Okay.
I was so into it, man. I skipped nights. I just worked on mapping. I learned how to do that stuff, and it was a great way to do more stuff for VR in general because I'm always looking for the next thing to do in VR. So it was fun.
Yeah, you are definitely oftentimes at the forefront of the next thing to do in VR. It's been great to see growth across your channel as well. And, I just want to say congratulations again to coming out on top for this tournament. Thank you so much to your community. That's an awesome accomplishment. And I'm just thrilled with how this all went today. I mean, couldn't have asked for a better event.
I absolutely agree with that. It was fantastic. Thanks to everyone again.
That's going to be it for Brad. Brad, thank you so much for the interview today. Again, congratulations on your victory. We'll do a final plug here. If you haven't already, do !stack up. It's going to give you the information on the organization that this entire Final Assault for Charity event has been organized for. Also hit !donate. It'll direct you over to that link where you can donate to the Stack Up Org charity and help continue to add on to that ever-growing bit of money that we've raised here for Stack Up. A shout out to everyone that has donated as well. If you have clicked that button already, thank you so much. The cause is so great. Like we've been highlighting here today, it's well worth it, and we really do appreciate all of the contributions that have come out today. It's incredible to see. Also, a big shout out to Phaserlock for helping organize this entire event. Really well done, very smoothly. I mean, Brad, I hate to bring you back in here, but we've had tournaments that have gone for hours, and this one, I mean, they really honed things in here for this event, if I had to say so myself.
I mean, not just that, but the polish they've included in. Since we've had a VRML, like we've had no issues with any of the casting tools or anything. Everything was running perfectly on my end. I didn't hear any complaints from the other competitors. So yeah, it seems like that. This game's ready for maybe another season, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that. The casting utilities ran flawlessly today. No hiccups. The games were run great. Yeah, it was truly a very, very good event. The final shout out is to the Phaserlock and the development of the game, not just the tournament, but they have definitely polished this experience up. For it to be $10, that's outrageous. I mean, come on,
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I've been trying. I mean, I was saying this game was worth it back when it was $25, man. So $10 is a steal.
I mean, all the maps, all the heroes, all the units. There's a ton of variety to Final Assault. So if you haven't picked it up, pick it up now. It's the cheapest it's ever been, cheapest it's honestly ever will be. But I mean, $10 for this game is a steal. So I do recommend you pick it up if you haven't. And the last reminder, hit the follow button if you haven't already. We here at the VR Master League do all kinds of VR esports events, tournaments, regular seasons, everything done by the VR Master League. If you want to be involved, you may have seen an ad run, head on over to vrmasterleague.com. You can register for any one of the available leagues that we have, for any of the tournaments that we put on. It's going to be your #1 spot for VR esports action. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter at VR Master League. And the variety of other, per game Twitters. Final Assault _VRML if you want up-to-date VRML Final Assault news in any other game. Similarly phrased, Echo Arena, Onward, Pavlov, all of them have their own spaces where you can get that information. So I do recommend you go follow those on the socials. Let's see if I have any final wraps. I think that's it. Again, thank you to all the sponsors as well. HyperX coming in here, giving prizes. We also have, like Brad said, some cash prizes going out to our winners, so they've earned themselves a little bit of funding, if you will, for winning this event. It's been fantastic. I mean, Mono, you're still on the line. I don't think I've been a part of a smoother event.
It definitely went really well there. I'm glad to have been here, and guys, really, any little bit helps, man. This is a really worthy cause. I'm so happy that I got to be a part of that and really help rep Stack Up. These guys need our help. They did a lot of work for us. They're out there on the line, and anything we can do. I mean, just playing video games. I mean, I think we all know how powerful that can be. It can really take away from, some of your problems for a while and allow you to really just enjoy yourself and just remember, what it's like to just relax. So anything you guys do is just really great, guys. Thank you.
That is going to be it from us here on the desk, and it for us here on the day. Thank you again so much for tuning in. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's. Our Victor, sadly, it's Bradley, and my co-caster, Monarkid. We all thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again, most likely next year with more VRML action. So don't miss it.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays indeed.
Happy holidays. Have a great evening.